As far as I'm concerned, as far as the judge is concerned, evidently it is not a dead issue because the judge has not as yet made a ruling. The situation still stands, and this Friday they reconvene. What will happen Friday, I have no idea.
Is this meeting tonight, or the meeting that will be held on the 22nd, is that something that would be designed to try and guide the judge in his decisions?
Absolutely not. We have tried all during this situation the last couple of weeks to stay away from any reference of trying to influence the courts. This is not our purpose at all. The judge is going to make his decisions based on the facts that as he receives them. But what we are trying to do is to let our elected officials know how the majority, I'd say over 90% of the people of Dallas feel.
It'll put Dallas in the international spotlight for about a week. Every word that comes out of Dallas will be quoted and requoted, and I think it will give Dallas a more of an international name. As far as the international airport is concerned, this is very important. Well, the problems will be strictly political. We practice karate just as it's practiced in the Orient, and once the red tape and bureaucracy is passed, it'll be very simple.
What's been the response from the public since you made the announcement that you were going over?
I've had nothing, not one word of opposition.
The organizations that are being funded by the HEW and the other governmental agencies are bringing lawsuits against elected school boards. They are funding organizations giving so-called technical assistance to draw up unrealistic integration plans for federal judges who, after all, are not administrative officers. And they're doing this In other words, for a plan of busing. The HEW, the Health, Education, and Welfare Organization, and other federal agencies involved in this are under the direct control of the President and the Congress. And they can stop their action if they are convinced it is the will of the American people. Politicians do react to the public when they know enough people want and demand action.
We received a relatively large volume of vaccine this morning from Washington. We brought it in here for breaking down, for repackaging, putting all the informational material with it, the different ingredients that have to be mixed together out in the field, and from here it will be airdropped to 26 various distribution points around the state. When it reaches these points this afternoon, it will then be made available to local practitioners, practicing veterinarians, to pick up and utilize in their clients in the area that they practice in.
We spent several hours with Tubman, President Tubman, at least 2 hours with Kenyatte, President Kenyatte, and at least an hour and a half with Haile Selassie in their castles. And we came away feeling that they were great leaders, but we did not come away feeling that the real black leadership in America was as querulous as Vice President indicated. And I still think that the people he was talking about are the people that, the leaders that he has made, and not leaders that Negroes themselves have developed.
I feel that as a city official, with a situation that we have right now that has been made a decision by another governmental body such as the school board, we can speak up and make a statement if we so desire, but as far as making a statement that all city officials should take a stand one way or another on an issue such as this, I disagree with Councilman Price.
The Highland Park Independent School District encompasses not only the city of Highland Park, but also the city of University Park and a small portion of Dallas. It is also 100% non-black. Recently at Marshall in Harrison County, East Texas, U.S. District Judge William W. Justice of Tyler ruled that school districts predominantly black in that county must be consolidated with those predominantly white school districts for the purposes of desegregation. Now, that's not to say that Highland Park, which is all white, must be consolidated with any other school district around it under that order. But certainly an order of this type, if it reaches the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals in New Orleans successfully, must have some implications on other school districts around the state, implications we have not yet dreamed about. There is another case pending in Fort Bend County in South Texas. That would be where there are two predominantly black school districts and one predominantly white. There is a move afoot to have those consolidated for desegregation purposes. We talked to Garland Independent School District Attorney Earl Luna today about the implications of Judge Justice's rulings as it might apply to the Dallas Independent School District and others of Dallas County.
In that case, the court handed down a decision telling the Texas Education Agency to take a look at districts within the state and determine what districts by each year had more than 66% minority group students in them. And then if they found that one or more districts had 66% black or other minority groups, they're supposed to consolidate them with a neighboring district.
Okay, let's talk about the reverse of that situation. For instance, in Dallas County, you have the Highland Park and University Park Independent School Districts, which are all white. Now, particularly the Highland Park School District, which takes in that portion of Dallas just west of the tollway. Would this infringement into the Dallas city limits give any citizen the right to complain about the district being all white and thus order it consolidated with Dallas?
Of course, anybody could complain, but I don't believe that would come within the format of this opinion that the court handed down in that case. The Highland Park situation is a long way from the example down in the Marshall area. The Highland Park district obviously does not have 66% minority groups. Now, someone might argue the reverse of it, that they have more than 66% white students, but then that's true of most school districts, and I don't think it'd give them a basis of change.
Well, now, that's certainly true with the Garland Independent School District, where you do have more than 66% white as opposed to minority. Now, if such a reversal ruling, that is, more whites than blacks, should come out, who would Garland conceivably consolidate with?
Well, I don't believe that you would in those circumstances, because that's just not what the court had in mind. Now, if you will recall, we did have an attempt to Wilmer Hutchins down the south end of the county to bring a portion of it into the Dallas School District and a portion into Ferris. Now, at least the portion that was coming into the Dallas School District had more than 66%. Now, that district is growing, and it may be that one day that school district could have more than 66%. It's the only one I know of in Dallas County that is potentially in that category.
Let's talk about the Marshall situation for a moment. Here you have 3 or 4 independent school districts that are ordered, because some are predominantly black, others are predominantly white, to consolidate into one independent school district by this federal judge. Well, let's assume that one of these districts is in bad shape financially. The schools are in bad shape, there is high indebtedness, whereas on the other hand you have a more affluent school district where the schools are in good shape, indebtedness is not particularly high. Is it right, legally, for anyone to order this maybe more affluent, more healthy school district to assume the burdens of another?
Well, I think that would be a travesty for that to happen. If you've got an area that's taken care of their schools and have been frugal, and spent their money wisely, and kept up their property, and another one that has not, it would seem to me to be a burden on those folks that have handled their business well to require them to assume the indebtedness of a joining school district and then perhaps even spend more money and incur more indebtedness. That does not seem the type of fairness that we generally think of. But then some of these things don't apply these days in the desegregation era.
Tomorrow evening at this time, we'll continue this in-depth discussion with attorney Earl Linham, and we'll flip that last question around and ask about the moral responsibilities we have toward the deprived minorities of our county. This is Jim Mitchell, Channel 8 News on the Move.
Would you say that the contract itself was one that you feel very satisfied with?
Yes, I'm quite satisfied with the contract that I completed today. And my agent, Norm Young, is satisfied also. And Gil Brandt was satisfied.
These findings have two indications of significance, we think, to us. And one is that our graduates are achieving more satisfactorily in college. And initially that 52% do go. But secondly, that we do need to place renewed emphasis upon career education.
What is the school district going to do about this career education, as you call it?
We plan to place it in a topmost position on our list of priorities and expand the present offerings and include new offerings and try to provide every graduate with a saleable skill so that should he elect to go to college, then he could perhaps help earn his way through college if this were necessary. And then in addition, to provide a means of earning a livelihood to those who do not choose to go to college.
ALPA is so concerned with airline safety that it's charged that the regional airport, which isn't even built yet, is already unsafe. At a safety forum this afternoon, pilots heard forecasts of airplane weights up to twice what they are now. In contrast, ALPA says runways at the regional airport are being built barely within present weight limits. Airport officials maintain it'll be easier and cheaper to resurface the runways when the heavier airplanes arrive. But Bill Alford, chairman of today's forum and a pilot for Braniff Airlines, disagrees.
Our policy that pavement should be built correctly to begin with. We really feel that it's going to be economically a burden on the community to design a flexible, so-called flexible system in phases or stages instead of a complete runway system from the very beginning and do it right the first time.
The pilots are so disturbed over what they consider the present air safety crisis that ALPA President J.J. O'Donnell, a pilot for Eastern, says he'll present a plan for a minimum requirement soon to the Federal Aviation Administration. O'Donnell says if he can't get action from the FAA, he'll take his case to Congress and the public. He says he intends to end the days when pilots have to make up in skill what's lacking in safety facilities. Phil Reynolds, Channel 8 News on the Move.
Well, the position of the court's going to be that we'll handle any case that is filed in this court that's a legitimate complaint. In this particular instance, the Texas Compulsory School Age and Attendance Law, I think that if the school board files cases, which they have in the past, for truancy under this particular law, that the court will be obliged to accept the cases. But my opinion is that if a child is made ready to go to school in their neighborhood and is taken or sent to school and it tries to attend a school in their neighborhood and the school refuses to accept them in their neighborhood, I believe that the parent has complied with this law by attempting to send that child to school.